Hello, Startup Vision Television. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Abhinav Kumar. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Global Markets at Tata Consultancy Services. I'm based in Brussels, in Belgium, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Florence.
Hello, Abhinav. It's so nice to have you on today. Thank you for being here. So, TCS was a pioneer in the startup world. It was born in 1968 as a startup, and it has been since a leader in digital transformation in 45 countries with more than 453,000 employees around the world. So, let's talk about TCS and how the company keeps this startup spirit.
Yeah, thank you, Florence. I think TCS has not been a startup for a very long time. As you said, we were founded in 1968, but we've had some reason to reflect on our history recently. Just 2 years ago, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the company's founding. And on a less happy note, a few months ago, the founding CEO of our company passed away last November. We've been reflecting a little bit on our history and the lessons we've learned there. Of course, in 1968, when TCS was started, it was a very small company. It was a small division of Tata Sons, providing internal services, and then from there it grew on to become a very large corporation. Today we operate in 46 countries. We have 469,000 employees across the world, and we work with more than 1,000 of the world's largest corporations. One of the things when we look back and reflect on our history from being a startup to a very large multinational corporation is that a small startup can create an industry, and that's something we should not forget when we talk about startups of today. So this very small company, which started in a small office in 1968, started an industry which today in India accounts for an industry which is sized at $200 billion in revenues, and which employs 4.36 million people in India. So, that's the potential of a startup. A lot of the people you speak to on Startup Vision TV are going to achieve a similar potential. When they interviewed 10, 15, 20 years from now, this is the same journey which they take. And when we look at today's big corporations, we tend to forget that at some stage they were a startup in a garage. And the lessons they've learned are something which are very relevant to startups today.
It's great that you say that because it's exactly it. Yes, it's true. When you have those startups and you think in the future and everything, and then you see that this small company, this startup is now a big company. That's great for you to say that. So something very important in is the company culture. In a startup, it's possible, and it's very essential. But how can you achieve that when a company scales up, and I could see firsthand that you could do that at TCS. You have a very strong company culture, and it even extends to your clients.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't understate the importance of culture, right? If you allow me to paraphrase a very famous saying, culture eats tactics for breakfast, it eats strategy for lunch, and it eats vision for dinner, right? There are many companies who've tried to do different things, implement a different strategy, but if it's against the culture they've built, they've always failed. I firmly believe one of the most important thing that any leader of a company or a founder of a startup needs to do, apart from setting the direction of the company and its strategy, and of course hiring the best talent they can, is to invest in and create the right culture which will allow their business to succeed, right? If you look back at our history at TCS, I think there are many important elements in our culture, but the foremost element for us always has been an extreme focus on our customers, customer centricity. When we grew from a small engineering company to a global multinational, at the heart of it, lied not any great marketing or great sales or great relationships. It was this pure engineering vision in which we did a great project for a customer, and based on the excellent results from it, earned the right to the next project and grew from there, right? From those simple basics is something which became the DNA of the company and the culture of the company, and we've kept today. So even today, when we need to make a decision, is do we invest and create a new office in a country? Do we create a new service line? Always the kind of north star for us is this right for our customers? Is this good for our customers, right? And every decision is taken with that lens, and that's important. Culture is not an easy thing to build and to sustain, especially when you're a startup going into a scale up, becoming a corporation. There are many points of inflection. But what's very important is to codify your culture. You know what your culture is. You need to really live it. The leadership team needs to live it, not just have it as a poster on the wall, but it should show in their actions. You need to reward your employees who show and live that culture. It's important to recognize it. And equally important is to hire for it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And as a marketing expert, how do you think the current disruption we are experiencing could be positive for startups and scale-ups?
Yeah. Well, if you look back at the last year, 2020, right, it was the year nobody had expected and nobody had planned for. I think some startups have done well, but for most startups across the world, it's been a very difficult year, right? It's been their businesses have been disrupted. There are many startups which had great ideas but could not implement them because of the lockdown and the special circumstances and other things. So it's been a tough time. But also, as you rightfully said, in every disruption, there are opportunities. If we look back at our the history of our economies, some of the largest companies and most successful companies today, right, and these are the likes of you can Instagram or Airbnb or Uber, or even companies like Disney or General Motors or GE. If you look at their history, all of them were founded during periods of recession, right? um, these periods of recession are special periods for entrepreneurship because they create certain conditions. Firstly, there is an unbundling of talent. A lot of talent which is caught up usually in large companies because some businesses change or they need to restructure or modify. Suddenly, there's a lot of very, very good talent available in the market today. The second thing which changes is the opportunity cost to people. They're, the entrepreneur of tomorrow who's sitting today and working in a business uh, often dreams of setting their business, but never takes the plunge because the opportunity cost is too high. They're in a great job, they're played well, they see a bright future, and they don't take the plunge. But if circumstances forces them to, or if they don't see their business which they're currently in growing at the rate it needs to, and they see another opportunity somewhere else, they can shape and create a fantastic business elsewhere. We're also at an inflection point on so many parts of what shapes our world, right? Economically, last year was an interesting year because it was the year that you saw the economic center of gravity shift to Asia. 50% of the world GDP is now in Asia, starting from last year. Social media. Today, more than half of the world's population is active on social media. That's also an inflection point last year. So many things are changing in terms of trends around us, right? World populations are changing, age and demographics are changing. You see the rise of single household. Some countries in northern Europe, for example, 40% of the people living there constitutes single person households. And these households now, homes are going to become the center of activity. They already are over last year and this year, with a lot of people working from home, consuming from home. And that creates a lot of opportunities for businesses, right? How do you provide towards home offices, services, technology, fitness at home? And I think the world's your oyster. If you've got a great idea, the times of disruption are the best time to shape your company and take that idea forward.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And in terms of communication, the changes are even greater. We just talked about it. What is the most important in building a brand for a startup company? You're a specialist, so please tell us.
Well, building a brand is something we've been doing for a long time. As I said, for 52 years, we've been building the TCS brand. And the one thing I'll tell you about brands is that building a brand is quite like running a marathon, right? You have to consistently keep changing your pace, keep investing in it, and keep doing things. um, it's not an act in a flash. There's a process behind it. There's you learn from it, you iterate and everything, and it's important. For startups, I think if you ask me, the advice I would give is two things. One is, when you're building your brand, it's really important that you think about what your brand means to your customer, but not just from your product and a functional point of view, but really from an emotional point of view. Because ultimately, if your product or brand can connect with your customer emotionally, then it remains more durable. The other thing which is important while building your brand is to make it memorable. In today's age, we are hit by a glut of information. um, Whether it's online, whether it's advertising, whether it's wherever you go, right? There's so many products, there's so much information. And one of the things which happens to consumers is that products tend to look very similar to each other. So focusing on what makes your brand distinct and memorable is very important. And the third thing is, if you can make your brand experiential, then that is also extremely important in engaging your customers. I'll give you one example of it from our journey, right? So we're a technology brand. We sell to business executives. We run their entire technology. We help them shape their businesses. But when you look at our brand investment, our brand sponsorship investment today really goes towards a portfolio of marathons. So TCS is the title partner to the TCS New York City Marathon, to the TCS Amsterdam Marathon. We're a technology partner to Boston, Chicago, London, in Sweden, in Singapore, and so many other places. So why does a technology brand invest in being a partner to marathons? It's for the experience. So across all of these marathons, we have about 4,000 of our customers and 10,000 of our employees every year who run these marathons. And the very fact that they participate in that sports, right? They train for it all year. They often, our employees and our customers train together for it. They come to the marathon with their co-branded shirts. Their families are there to cheer them on. And that emotion of completing that event, for many of people it's their first run or they've improved their performance. That emotional engagement is special to them. It's something they remember all their lives. It's a great moment for them, and for us it's a great moment for us to enable something for our customers outside of the workplace. And that really ties them up with our brand. Also gives us a chance to showcase our technology. The mobile apps at the marathons are created by us, and many other technology showcases.
Yes, and it's feeling that you're part of something of the story.
Absolutely. You
And
are the hero of the story. So our customers are the hero of the story, because it's not easy to run a marathon. I've never done it. I don't know if you're a marathon runner, Florence, but it's a,
neither.
it's a terrific achievement. And I think in that sense, if they connect our brand with that achievement of theirs, then that's a great association for us to have.
So you're a strong advocate of storytelling.
Mhm.
Tell us what it represents for you.
Well, storytelling is one of the oldest human skills, right? We started storytelling as hunter gatherers around fires, and that's what helped shape our communities. In today's world, it's actually more important than ever. Um, if you've heard of Robert Schiller, the Nobel Prize winning economist, he's coined this term called narrative economics. So what narrative economics essentially means in simple terms, it's a big book, it's a thesis, economic thesis. It's the first time that principles of economics have been applied to the field of communications. And what he says in simplicity is that stories and ideas that go viral today can shape economic circumstances. They can cause a recession, they can cause a recovery, they can cause a business to go up, they can cause a very sound business to fall. So the narrative and the story which you tell around your business is vitally important, right? On the positive side, you could look at examples like Tesla. Tesla is a dream. It's a story. They're not a marketing company. In fact, Tesla does spend zero on advertising compared to any other car company, right? But its story is something which inspires consumers, and it's shaped what is today. It's made its founder the richest person on the planet just this week,
Yeah.
right? On the negative side, you also have negative narratives. A lot of the fake news on the political side. You also see it on the business side, things which can really hurt your business. So I think storytelling is something, irrespective of how technology evolves or channels change, whether you're sitting around a fire, whether you're sitting in the drawing room with your friends, whether you're giving a corporate presentation in an office, or you've created a beautiful video to tell your story on Facebook or on LinkedIn. It is important. And I'll link back to the point I said about building brands. If you want to make your brand memorable, then the best way to do it is to turn it into a story. Because and if I ask you a question, Florence, if you remember the last trade show or big conference you went to, and it would have been more than a year ago, and you think about all the speakers who spoke there, may have been big CEOs and executives and inspiration speakers, you'll find that you forget mostly whatever they had spoken about. But if someone had shared a story, it could be a personal story, it could be about how they came through a breakthrough in creating a particular product, or their dream of going to Mars, or whatever it is. That story is something which will stay with you and you'll remember. And I think good marketers understand that very, good. And that's my piece of advice to startup companies, is tell your story in such a way that people remember it, are inspired by it, and really want to emotively engage with you and your product and your story.
That's great. I totally agree with you, and it's a great thing to say to startups. Thank you so much, Abhinav, for sharing your time and sharing all those very important thoughts with us on Startup Vision TV. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Florence. And let me say that 2021 has to be an year of economic recovery.
Mm.
And towards this, the roles that startups and small and medium enterprises need to play is extremely important. So I wish good luck to all your viewers and your partners and the audiences here.
Thank
Together, we need to restore our world and our economy. And thank you for the role you are playing in bringing this community together and inspiring them.
thank you, Abhinav. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Florence.
Bye-bye.